How are you doing today?
Hello, doing great. How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Very, very well, thank you. What do you have for us for today, Ethan?
As the channel had delivered the title to you today, as he was connecting more actively to his higher mind and to us and our frequency, when you are going through a process of developing and growing into who and what you are and what you have to bring to the world, know that you are going through a process. Many of you, because you are in physical reality, cannot see fully the ideas and the interesting experiences that are happening outside of your experience of being human and your idea of what it is like to live in a world beyond just the idea of what your physical plane has to offer. When you are delivering those experiences to yourself through your higher mind, through the prism of realities and ideas that you have experienced. Many of you ask, why am I going through this thing? Why, why, why? Many times you will not see the actual lesson until after the actual experience is over. You will not see, I learned and went through this thing just to learn this one little thing, through this one experience.
Yeah.
Understand, if you have to ask the question why, you're not done with the experience itself. Give yourself space enough to be able to understand that you are still going through a process at this time. Give yourself permission in all times and all places to know that you are moving very gracefully, very openly to a new stage of your life that may not look like what you expect it to, but it will elevate your whole experience of who you are and what you have to offer to the world.
Yes, absolutely.
So be open more fully to your experiences. If you're at the point in your experience of growth and you still have to ask the reason why something is happening, know that you are still in the process. The moment you no longer have to ask why, generally speaking, that is the time you're done with it because you have learned the lesson that is in the experience and also the situation that exists inside of your life that you have planned out for yourself.
Thank you. When we see in various scripture, the protagonist says something like, "Why is me? Why am I Jonah in the belly of the fish?
Yes,
How can I be saved?" What
yes.
what part of the process the protagonist is in?
This is part of your story. This is part of the point in your story where you make the greatest changes because you are questioning. You are typically coming from a place of ego and not necessarily understanding from the higher perspective that is necessary for you as a being to actually live through that particular experience. You are still in your ego when you have reached the end of the story, you have reached the end of that passage, and you have the realization that helps you make that breakthrough. That is the time and place when you are able to grow most completely because you finally see the full understanding of what is happening in the story. It is the meat, is the reason. It is ultimately the reason why you have all these experiences. If you still have to ask the reason why, ask yourself in that moment, am I truly done with this experience? If not, keep going.
Thank you. Yesterday, I was with my old friend, and she kept mentioning a few things that bothering her. For example, she moved into this apartment a couple of years ago. She's so happy with it, but now she's been informed that there's a new large building going to get constructed right in front of her face, in front of the window. So I said,
Yes.
it's a huge city. I mean, there's so many great places, but she couldn't let it go, and she focused on that one. I said, there's 8 million people here, and there's a million houses. Surely you'll find something better. Um, but but my friend still was stuck on that. Her view will be gone. How could I help her?
You understand the story structure, correct?
Yes.
There is a principle when it comes to story structure where it says, I am this, but then this happens. It is a twist in the story, something that gets you to be motivated to go a very particular direction that you would not have gone otherwise.
Thank you.
Because good stories have good twists.
There seem to be more and more twists in our life story these days, all the
Yes.
time.
Yes. You give yourself an opportunity to grow, to change, to move beyond what you have been as a species, as a civilization. Because understand that we look at you all as one equal civilization. Yeah, you may have different parts, but you are all one species, one planet. You may be separated out by countries, as it were, but you are all truly one world.
Right. Yes, we are. Thank you. When I was visiting the family last week, I've noticed that when I would bring something up gently that is kind of, how would I say it? Something that was so unacceptable to them, they would say that is just not possible, period. And they would not be open to any discussion. How do I to, and I backed off, but let's say I bring something from my own experience, life experience, and the other person, like, I don't want to hear this. Like, this is not possible. Don't even bring it up again. Are they so deep in their story still?
Yes, they are not coming from a level where they are able to fully understand what you are delivering to them, what information you are able to be on a particular level. They do not necessarily resonate with the particular vibe and energy that you are sending out into the world. So, because they are not at a level where it is understandable or accessible for them to fully engage in the information you have to give, be okay with them not being there with you.
Yeah, yes, and I was, and I just changed the subject, and the funny part was that my daughter, who's 10 now, and one of her cousins, who's 14,
Yes,
are very comfortable with me speaking with you and talking about it, but the others are not.
because they are at a point in their life where they have become very static in their belief systems.
Thank you. The 14-year-old kid, he's kind of slim, really cute, and well-meaning and very gentle. And
Yes,
when you look at his face, his eyes are a bit squashed, and I could see maybe he's a little bit of a hybrid. I didn't want to bring it up there to his mom, who is my sister. Is it
yes,
possible?
yes. You are starting to see more of these type of hybridizations happen when people are in the womb. People are manifesting themselves because you are moving to a much higher level. People are starting to manifest their bodies in a different way than they were before, understanding in ways of being, because children, many times, because they act from a state of grace, generally speaking, are more open to new ideas that do happen in the world around them that they cannot be explained by adults, but because they are open to more than generally most adults are, they give themselves space to make mistakes.
Thank you. And that particular child who's 14, he was quite interested in extraterrestrials and space. And I went back to my room at my mother's, and of course I have a quite of the library has to do with space and science fiction from when I was his age.
Yes,
And I pulled a bunch of books and I left it for him.
yes,
Why is that he and I, around the same age, both interested in these topics?
because he's being activated.
By whom or what?
His higher self. It is
I,
inspiration to go a particular direction that may not necessarily be suitable for the adults in his life. but he's being given space because of you and others, where he's open to more of his existence.
Thank you.
Understand that you are speaking to an alien. You are speaking through a person that is in repose and allowing me to speak through him.
Yes.
This is not normal for most people.
Yet.
Yet. More of the idea when you moving into your future timelines that will exist, this will be very common for everyone to be able to do these kinds of things.
Yes.
Because there are becoming more and more channels around, more and more people that can have this kind of ability as a culture, as a frequency, as beings. It will become very common that everyone has this kind of gift.
Thank you.
So therefore, your whole entire civilization will act from a place of being connected to their higher selves, because there's no point in their life they will not be disconnected to those things.
Yes. And it's interesting, especially in Israel, because what's going on in that region now.
Yes.
And I told him, I really believe that things will calm down and people will find common language, and we are entering a golden age, so to speak.
Yes.
And most of them responded with, we really hope so, but they weren't in it. And I said, how do you know? I said, I know it. No, sorry. They said, do you believe in it? I said, I know it.
Yes. When you act from that particular state of being where you know these things to be true, you quite frequently will manifest them, because you act from a place of them being true completely and utterly for you and those around you. And if those around you that actually do interact with you when you are in the particular frequency of a golden age, they will resonate with you. They will give you space to be able to make those decisions that lead ultimately to the reality where a golden age is upon you.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Even the channel was speaking that he is in a better connection with his higher mind,
Yes.
and that his higher mind at times drops in.
Yes.
What could you tell us about this, please?
Because he is actually more connected to us and embodying our frequency. He is more able to actively bring in the frequency of his higher mind more physically, more openly, to have a communication with him and it. And that aspect of himself that is still in non physical experience.
Thank you. Ethan, I mentioned this to the channel. I've been reading this book called Secrets of the UFO, which was published by Don Elkins and Carla Ruckert prior to them channeling Ra. So
Yes.
this is based on previous other channels' work.
Yes.
And one of the chapters is very interesting. It says, there's the entity is being channeled saying, to apples we are salt. To apples we are salt.
Yes.
And the book explains that you may think you're an apple on your incarnation here on Earth, but you have other incarnations as an extraterrestrial, and that may be your first and only so far incarnation on Earth, part of your mission to be here. However, those who connect to it and understand it, they live a good life, but those who do not may face mental problems, even suicide. What could you tell us about discovering your parallel connection to your extraterrestrial incarnations?
Those that act from a place of negativity, when they are confronted with the idea of being part of a more holistic being that integrates ideas and information from other incarnations, because they are drawn so deeply and darkly into the negativity, they will take themselves out, because they are not able to confront the idea of having those existences because they have bought into particular belief systems that are not necessarily positive for themselves. When you give yourself space to say, this is right for me or this is right for other people, you will typically stop. But if you are more integrated in your approach to life and how you connect to yourself, you will be open to more, giving your space to decide who and what you are, decide if you really want to have a more active, open communication with yourself and your higher self, and understand that there's really no difference between the two. It's just you have a little more access to the information from other aspects of yourself. Because you only ever typically draw information that is relevant for your situation. And ultimately, because he has learned to embody our frequency to be able to create these kind of communications, he has been open more readily to receiving the kind of information that we deliver as a more active part of his life instead of being just a being coming through him.
Thank you. I want to mention a bit about, as you said, the increased number of sightings.
Yes.
And I see it mostly on the Telegram channels, not so much on the mainstream media.
Yes.
What type of crafts are being shown at the moment?
It's more you're actually seeing what's already there. You are seeing the Federation ships from different species. There are many species on there that you are very familiar with. The various shapes and sizes of these species. Some of them have hybrids on them. Some of them have different species from stars like the Pleiades, Orions, reptilians of various types, us, hybrids.
Thank you.
It depends.
Is there an importance to someone in Brazil or Ecuador sees a craft? Is there an importance to the type of craft that person sees, or is just the fact that they see the craft is the message?
Just seeing the craft is the message.
Thank you.
Many times humans make these types of things more complicated. Many times these types of extraterrestrials, especially at this point in your process of connecting to yourself and your higher mind and all those other aspects of yourself, literally it is just generally your higher mind saying hello, or the different extraterrestrial, because they do have their own life, just saying hello to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Getting more used to the idea of them being around, getting more used to the idea of interacting with beings more physically, because these types of things are going to become very, very, very normalized very quickly. Very.
You mean the sightings will help to normalize the fact that people are getting used to extraterrestrials in the space?
Yes. Because you're able to see them more readily and more often. You, as a species, as a planet, are acclimating to our frequency.
Okay, thank you. What about people that currently say, like, you gotta be joking, you gotta be kidding me, there's nothing else besides us? The type of cognitive dissonance they're going to be presented with could be perhaps too great for them to fathom.
Because they are at a level where they're not able to fully integrate it, they may potentially take themselves out of your reality.
Fair enough. Okay. One interesting thing. Today is the 33rd episode recorded. We had one which we did not record earlier.
Yes.
And when I returned from my trip, I went to my local coffee shop and I ordered a cup of soup, whatever it was. And they have these blocks of wood etched with numbers. And of course, out of the 50 blocks of wood they have, I was presented with the one number 33.
Yes.
So I knew that we're going to have a show soon.
Yes. And what race are you dealing with currently when you are speaking to the channel?
Sasani.
Yes, we are the third race out of the hybrid species that were created in the hybridization agenda.
Right. Yes, yes, yes.
So therefore, you're being synchronistically shown it is time to talk.
Great. And 33 seems to be a number that repeats on Earth in various meanings, cultures, and history.
Yeah.
Why 33?
33 represents the idea of cycles. You're synchronistically showing yourself the idea of a cycle, a mini cycle. Whereas a 9 is an elevated form of a much larger cycle that is occurring, a much larger era of a particular person's life that may be completing when that number shows up. Whereas 3 is more of the idea of manifestation.
Thank you.
What is your third chakra?
It'll be where the belly is,
It is your solar plexus.
solar plexus.
The idea of manifestation is that which is your solar plexus. When you can fully embody a particular idea or frequency, this allows you to tap into that aspect yourself. When you are having problems in this area, manifesting stuff into your experience, manifesting the idea of a new opportunity, many times people will have the idea of an upset stomach. So we would suggest to you in those moments to ask yourself, why do I have a bellyache? What am I holding on to? What is my idea as to what I would like to experience? What am I holding on to? What is causing me to not have a full manifestation of my experience and who I am and everyone around me?
Thank you. I've noticed my daughter complains quite often about belly. Daddy, my tummy hurts.
Yes.
Is that connected?
What is she feeding herself? What kinds of things is she feeding on in her daily life that are causing her to have a bellyache?
Right. Thank you. Let me take some questions from the chat, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, this is more of a statement, but Mary, there are many parallel worlds. I won't change the world. I can neither destroy nor save the earth because there is a destroyed earth and a saved, and a saved one. I just decide where to shift.
Well, it's more you shift your frequency. The version of Earth that you are experiencing at any given moment is a reflection of the particular frequency that you are actually exhibiting in the moment.
Thank you. Let's see what else going on here. Kuru is asking, question, what is my higher self's name, please? What specific is it?
Specifically, the name that you receive from your higher mind. And at this time, because you are all going through the process of connecting to your higher mind, you will be given that name directly to you from your higher mind, not through us. But typically, the name itself is more of a resonance signature that allows you to connect more directly. If you are not able to connect to your higher mind very easily, we would suggest you sit and meditate.
That makes sense. Thank you very much. Zed is asking, or Z in American, what is your connection to Elan, E-L-A-N, a channeled Sasani?
He is part of our team.
Part of the team.
He is one of the members of our particular team that is helping you through the ascension process or raising of your frequency that is allowing us to actually show up today.
Thank you. Speaking of which, I've been listening and working with a friend also overseas in Israel who channels an entity named Doron.
Yeah?
Are you familiar with this entity?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Remember, our teams are huge.
Yes.
We know people by their vibration, by their frequency. That particular vibration and frequency that is not resonant with our current vibration, if we meet said being, we will actually speak of them. But as it stands now, we are not engaged with that particular being.
I understand. Thank you. Ethan, there was when my daughter and I were taking the taxi to the airport. As we come pretty close to the terminal, we saw a plane, and it's been frozen in the sky.
Yes.
And I looked at my daughter and said, "Do you see this? Do you see the plane is not moving?" And she says, "Yeah, it's not moving." And I've seen videos of that. What were we seeing?
Dimensional shifts. Because they are going through a particular gateway, a particular shift into this reality, there is a momentary stutter that happens as it shifts more actively into this reality or other ones.
Would you explain a bit more? This is beyond me.
Do you understand the idea that it takes a moment when you're acclimating to a particular dimension that you are shifting into to be able to
Yes.
actually fully engage?
Yes.
You are seeing the stutter.
How come this is the only time I've seen it?
It's because you are elevating your frequency, and these things are becoming more obvious for all of you.
Okay, thank you. Was that plane real? Was it actually landing with people inside?
Yes.
So that commercial airliner where it flies, it actually physically flies from one place to another, yeah?
Yes.
What dimension does it need to shift if it's physically removing itself, going in the air, and landing elsewhere?
Any number of dimensions. Typically, they are coming from a much higher frequency because they're paring down their information or frequency to a level that is more normal for humans to be able to comprehend.
Okay, thank you.
It is a much larger jump for humans to actually engage with us to move up as it is for us to move down. You may see things manifest into your reality that are of a higher frequency, and it may take a moment for it to completely acclimate and fully shift into the reality that you're experiencing. But understand, you are going up in frequency, so these kinds of things, much like say our ships, are going to become much, much more common because reality is going to come unstuck a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Diamond Mind. How can you tell if it is your higher mind or intuition communicating for you?
What's the difference? Your higher mind is your intuition. If you were asking what's the difference between your egoic mind and your higher mind, we would ask that the idea of the egoic mind is more along the lines of survival, of daily living, whereas the higher mind sees things from the mountaintop and it allows you to more have a fully integrated view. Whereas if you're in the more physical ego, when you're integrating or talking to those kind of things, will typically have the idea of survival versus understanding and coming from a holistic view.
Thank you.
Think positive versus survival, more integrated versus negativity.
Thank you.
You understand that politically around your world, you are going through a climate shift, a transition to higher perspectives where your governments actually work for the people. You are expelling previous generations and previous energy that is more along the ideas of control. So
Yes.
you're being given an opportunity as a collective to decide what kind of government would you prefer to have.
Yes, that's very evident these days.
Yes. And this is all part of the process of shifting to those higher frequencies.
Yes. Speaking of which, there's an ongoing discussion if it's worth someone's time to vote or not to vote. If you vote, you participate in a system that is not doing the best for the people. And the other guys say, well, if you don't vote, then you have no say. But is it really so? Because things will change regardless.
It just depends on what idea of shift you would like to take. If you allow other people to tell you no, don't vote, and you go along with it, you are allowing someone else to make a decision what reality you would like to live in. Vote for the reality you would like to experience.
Right. So not participating in the action of voting is also voting, just not for that entire system.
Yes, you're voting to let someone else control you.
You mean when you go and put the voting thing in, then you're voting for someone else to control you. But if you do not vote at all, you're voting for a new system. Is that correct?
No, when you are voting, when you put your energy, you take the action to be able to actually choose which reality you would like to experience. That is what you are saying when you vote. You are taking control of your destiny, your ideas of your reality. When you don't vote, you're voting to allow someone else to control your destiny, the direction of your life.
Oh, okay, thank you. I see what you mean. But there's a counter argument that would say that it's the illusion of choice. It's these guys. I may agree with some things they say, but not with the other. And the other team, I may agree with some things, but not the other. And none of them represents what I really want for myself and my family.
Then take action for yourself.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
All we're asking you to do in many of these types of situations and these types of interactions is for you to take responsibility and action for yourself and what you have to bring to this world and your future as to how you would like to experience it. No one can make you do anything, not realistically speaking.
Right.
But in hindsight and in understanding of this reality or any other, you have choice on every level. Would you like to choose to let someone else do it for you? It's your choice.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll go back to the topic of food and nutrition. We spoke quite a bit about consuming food that enriches you and make sure that if you consume an animal, it's from a good source and the animal has been in good condition and so on.
Yes.
And I listened to another channel was very eloquent about the idea of food, where the channel spoke that she personally started to consume meat again from ethical sources.
Yes.
However, it may not fit everyone. So the information was a bit, for some people, it'll be good to eat meat or root vegetables for grounding purposes. But
Yes.
nonetheless, as we ascend, we would perhaps eat less and have lighter foods.
Yes.
How do I
But
make sense of this?
that is more of a case by case basis. Each person is going through a process themselves and may not necessarily be similar to the person that is next to them. Some
Mhm.
people may require meat because many of you are actually protein deficient,
Mhm.
especially the people who choose to eat a purely vegetarian diet. These foods are here for a reason. You are there, and your body is designed to eat many different sources, many different ways.
Thank you.
It's a case by case basis. There's
It's okay.
not one size fits all per person.
Thank you. And would at some point, I mean, your people do not eat, do not sleep, quasi physical. Would at
Yes,
some point we as people will eat lighter and lighter foods and less food?
yes, but that's not right now. You are still going through process to elevate yourself and really move truly into fourth density.
Hmm.
Whereas we have been here for quite some time, for thousands of years, and we are moving into pure non-physicality.
Yes.
It doesn't make us better, but it is the point of our where we are in our evolutionary state that allows us to fully integrate and also connect to other species and to show them, hey, this is the way because we went through this ourselves. So we were showing you this shortcuts as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a question here from Diamond Mind. I have a question. What is the best way to remove heavy metals and or parasites from the body?
The idea of fasting. Typically, if you are not adding more stuff into your body, we would advise you to go to a doctor. But the typical idea that would be most adequate for more humans to be able to detox, as it were, it's like starving or removing the substances that could potentially cause you to become sick out of your diet. These kinds of things allow you to fully open to more aspects of yourself. There's a reason in the past for humans on Earth that you had the idea of ritually fasting a few times a year.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
These traditions were delivered in ancient times to people and they were adapted and made part of the religious process. But understand that many of these kinds of traditions are there for a reason.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mary, when will all people be awakened?
Never. Even in the higher perspective, a larger majority will actually be closer to 90%, but there will still be that 10% of the population that, even with having things actually presented directly to them, will never be able to see them.
And these people will shift outside of our reality at some point?
Eventually. But you are still going through a process currently that is not quite what you would expect it to be. You are going through a process of letting go.
Right. Thank you.
You are going through a detox of your society.
Repeat, please.
You are going through a detox of your society. That is what you've been experiencing for a few years now.
Yes,
That is why
absolutely.
that is why there has been the idea of chaos in your world.
Yes, thank you. I heard someone refers to it as the great decade of cleanup.
Yes, it's fun.
It's fun. It is fun. It's
Yes,
good to do something different.
yes,
Ethan, lots of rain and flood, even here in Toronto
yes.
and all over the world. Massive rain and flood. Is it part of the cleanup?
Your world is helping. Your world is alive. It does have a spirit. It does have the idea of a connection to you as a people.
Thank you.
What do you typically do when you are cleaning a mirror? What do you typically do when you are cleaning something?
Wash it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So therefore, your planet's helping. Say thank you to your planet, even if it seems scary in the moment. It is washing away.
Thank you. I have a quick question here from a new participant, Lara Nick. I'm very curious about the story of history of humans on Earth. What would you recommend me and others to connect in meditation and other practices to which guides would be smart to connect?
Your guides are there for you all the time. Also, your history is starting to be revealed at this time from many different sources. It's being leaked from a place that is not quite what you're going to expect, but you're more or less starting to see more of your ancient history revealed to you from different sources gradually. And over time, there will be a device that is delivered to humans from our perspective, where we have been monitoring you for thousands of years, that gives you your true history. But if you would like to actually resonate with the idea of your guides and your higher mind, and more importantly, the planet itself, ask it from a perspective of, I would like to receive a full history of my people.
I would like to receive a full history of my people.
But understand what information does show up. Let it be okay if it's not the entire thing. Eventually, you will receive more and more and more of the history and get a more complete picture. But understand, this is a much larger subject, and it's not just one thing.
Thank you. Everything is good in good time.
Yes.
Everything.
As we have stated to you in the past, when you have asked, why can't we have it now? What has been our response to you every single time?
It's not the right time.
Yes.
Yes.
So eventually, in the right timing, you'll receive it.
Thank you. Thank you. There's an interesting one from Kuru. I'm always tired and drink udge, maybe large quantity of coffee to keep up. I think it's
Yes.
because of glucose in the food. How to stay energetic without coffee, please?
Allow yourself to go through a detox process when it comes to stimulants and caffeine.
Thank you.
Many of you are addicted to stimulants, whether you see it that way or not.
Absolutely.
The stimulants themselves are actually causing you to not fully be in the rhythm of your body's actual nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it is bypassing the natural rhythms of your body and the natural rhythms of the cycles that come with being human.
Thank you, Ethan. Would you say when you're tired, have a rest?
Yes.
Yes.
The idea of naps should really be part of your society, more normalized. Allow yourself to be fully integrated and fully engaged in your society and your being instead of needing to take caffeine in order to get yourself through.
Right, because in Europe or in Latin America, which I got to spend some time,
Yes,
especially in the hot hours, they have a nap, and in here in Canada, United States, just keep going, drink more and more coffee, and then keep going and then crash.
yes.
Okay.
In your society, you are sleep deprived.
Yeah.
If you are not able to take a nap, do what you need to rest, stand up, walk around, get a drink of water. But the idea of these types of chemicals, such as caffeine, are interrupting your natural cycles that occur in your body that allow you to more naturally live in balance with the world that you live in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes.
Dolores Cornea. A victim of a crime, is it random or balance of karma or manifestation because negative thoughts or vibrations?
Both.
Both.
In many situations, these types of crimes can be set up prior to the incarnation. However, with a big but, these kinds of things can be attracted to you and not necessarily a karmic debt that you have to pay.
Okay. Mary, what does the number 8 mean? And what can you say to us about numbers and why the numbers are important or come from?
Numbers themselves are a synchronistic and vibrational resonance. 8 is the idea of infinity. It is the idea of infinitely going around in a loop that never truly stops. It is the number that allows you to fully integrate the idea of your higher self and taking the next step, but also allowing yourself to move to 9, which is the completion of a cycle and the start of a new one.
Right.
Each number, each word you say has a particular resonance, has a particular vibrational frequency that is important, that is not quite like anything else. Understand that if you do not like the life you are living, look to your language. Look to what frequencies you are embodying that you, in the moment, are not conscious of. Because many humans on this world, going back to the previous topic, previous discussion, haphazardly, without fully understanding, say things that end up manifesting experiences you would not quite like to have.
Thank you. Sticking to that number of 9, I was just doing a lecture about astrology and cycles from 1 to 9, where each number has a meaning.
Yes.
And one's life could be, so for example, if someone is 36, they're
Yes.
on their 9th year
Yes.
of completion. So 37 will be a new start, a new beginning.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Would you like to review for us 1 to 9 the meaning of those years in someone's life cycle?
1 is the idea of beginning. It is the idea of the beginning stage of your experience. 2, you have gained a particular understanding of what you have to offer. 3 is you have gotten the hang of it. You have allowed yourself to be in the moment. You can more play around with your experience. 4, you have transformed fully into those stages that you have previously learned. 5 is an embodiment. 6 is the idea of moving to the next at completion of another mini cycle. 7 is the idea of embodying the previous experiences, previous places that you have lived in. 8 is the idea of fully embodying those and fully transforming, and you have fully integrated that frequency into your world. 9 is the end of those particular cycles. Then you are able to move on to the next stage and complete a whole and start a whole new cycle all over again.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
Yes. Understand that these all do happen in stages. It's not just one thing.
Right. And there must be some overlap.
Yes. Because you will go backwards, you will go forwards. You will embody it, you will learn something new, which will completely change your perspective on these types of events.
Thank you.
But understand the idea of 36 in ancient cultures had a different type of astrology than you currently practice. You have the 12 zodiacal signs that do exist, but understand that each one of these actually had 2 subsets that mean something different. And this type of information was passed down from previous civilizations before even the Egyptians or the Atlanteans.
Thank you.
Yes.
You mentioned a device earlier. Are you referring to the looking glass device?
No. It'll be a small handheld device that actually allows you to physically interact with different portions of your history that physically allow you to see what was actually happening at the time outside of the main narrative that has been delivered to you through corporate media, as well as through the idea of what stories have been sold to you versus what actually happened in those times.
How far are we from obtaining such a device?
A few years.
And you will look in this device and be able to look at various histories of areas or times.
Well, it is more of a holographic interface.
Right. It's kind of like being in the movie, watching what happened.
Yes. But from someone who was actually there. Because these types of devices will be more interactive, that will allow you to actually fully see what is happening. The type of technology we have to you looks magical in nature.
That sounds amazing.
In time, you'll have it.
Thank you. That'll be fun.
Yes.
Okay. Val Madness, could you talk about the right brain? How can we activate it in a deeper way?
Through meditation, typically. Simple. Allow yourself to be fully integrated. Don't exclude one side or the other, but allow yourself to be fully integrated and understand that when you are doing creative things, this is typically the aspect of yourself that actually becomes activated. So go out and create.
Thank you.
Take action. Many times, when you are coming from a more left brain standpoint, humans like to forget one important thing, which is take action. Take action on yourself, take action in your world, take action anytime you can to be able to live in the world that you want to. Do not allow yourself to be, as it were, not engage. Give yourself an opportunity to decide if you would like to live in that particular reality. There's no wrong answer, typically, but the big thing that most humans forget is to take action. Going back to the start of our transmission today, why is this happening? Why am I doing this? A lot of times it's asking you to get up and move.
Yes.
It's okay.
You know, many of us, all of us probably, tend to escape into the screen, whether it's a computer game or scrolling endlessly on some social media.
Yes.
That's the opposite of taking action. What is the right balance here?
Each person requires different opportunities. No one can be told what is correct for them.
Fair enough. Thank you.
At this time, we will take 2 more questions and we will finish for today.
Thank you. There's a good one here from Lada Niech. I'm turning 30 this coming September.
Yes.
Both my full name and my birthday add up to number 11. Can you tell me what does it tell about my life?
You are in a state of master creation. You are on a life path of love to fully embody that particular state of being, as many of you are in this time and age.
Thank you. I'll merge 2 questions here. There's a question that if someone changes their name, would it affect their personality? And the other I'd like to bring is if someone received a transplant, such as myself, would they receive some of the personality from that person that donated the transplant?
Remember, everything is resonance and everything is frequency. When you change the particular name that you are being called, the particular organ that you have inside of your body, you are embodying a different frequency that goes along with that particular name. So, when you choose to take on these different aspects of yourself and others, you are going to integrate aspects of those people as well as aspects of the new name you have chosen to embody.
Thank you very much, Ethan, for today. Would you like to close it up?
At this time, we would like to remind all of you, if you have the idea or the words creeping into your mind, why am I going through this experience? Why is this happening? We would remind you that you are still in the process. And allow yourself to have enough grace in order to know that it is not time and you still have more things to work through. So, as we move forward, give yourself space to be yourself and connect to others as necessary. And understand that the process is fun if you just relax into it. But also take action on all days, all places, all times to be able to give yourself the most opportunity to receive all that is there for you to get. Be open to yourself and those around you. We bid you good day.
Thank you very much. Good day.